friends, India has two university models, central and minority. Article 30, subsection 1 enables the establishment of minority universities in India. These universities focus on preserving their cultural heritage alongside academics. They independently manage admissions, staff, and internal policies reflecting community values. Seat reservations help marginalized groups while upholding constitutional rights. But this model faces challenges. The reservation system may reduce campus diversity. Resource constraints plague these universities because of less government funding. Their infrastructure and research suffer. This focus could hinder intellectual diversity. On the other hand, central universities are affiliated to the University Grants Commission and maintain national education standards. They create inclusive academic environments with diverse students. Since central universities are government funded, they have robust infrastructure, research grants, and facilities. Rigorous standards and merit based admissions enhance reputation and fairness. Research funding at these universities fuels innovation and global collaboration. Central universities also face challenges. Excessive regulation hinders efficiency. Political pressure undermines academic freedom. Uniform policies may neglect diverse community needs. Both universities are vital to India's education. Their approaches reflect the country's diverse education system. National education and cultural preservation are balanced in the system. One size fits all solutions are not suitable for education in India. However, the two model system does create issues that need to be sorted out from time to time. One of the most enduring issues has been regarding the Aligarh Muslim University, also known as AMU. Aligarh Muslim University's minority status dispute stems from its founding principles. In 1875, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan established the Madrasatul Ulum Musalmane Hind. Later, it was renamed Mohammedan Anglo Oriental College to modernize Muslim education while preserving Islamic culture. This aimed to bridge the educational gap between Muslims and other communities under the British rule. The transition to Aligarh Muslim University or AMU in 1920 was formalized by the act legislated by the Imperial Legislative Council, which was the forerunner of Free India's Parliament. It reinforced the university's distinct character and mission to serve India's Muslim community. Later debates on its minority status centered on this legislative foundation. AMU's situation grew more complicated after India achieved independence in 1947. The secular framework, while upholding minority rights, sparked controversy over how far government supported institutions could embrace religious distinctiveness. The tension grew especially intense as AMU got funding from the central government and became a central university. In the Aziz Basha versus Union of India 1967 case, the Supreme Court ruled that AMU could not be considered a minority institution as it was established by a central government act, categorizing it as a central university. This ruling denied AMU the rights of minority institutions under Article 30 of the Indian Constitution. This decision significantly altered AMU's identity as a minority institution, triggering extended legal and political battles. To restore its minority character, the parliament amended the Aligarh Muslim University Act in 1981. Legal battles followed regarding this amendment, leading to its ultimate rejection by the Allahabad High Court in 2006. According to the High Court, the amendment was an attempt to avoid the Supreme Court's 1967 ruling. Before we analyze the implications of the Supreme Court's November 2024 verdict, it is important to mention that a three-judge panel will review AMU's status in the light of the Supreme Court's ruling. The smaller bench will clarify AMU's minority status. This could reshape funding and admissions for other universities too. AMU's history deeply impacts the case's political and social aspects. It involves complex debates on minority rights, secularism, and community and state balance. Judicial decisions require careful constitutional analysis and consistent application of law. The court's referral highlights its commitment to thorough reasoning despite the time needed. This is more than an institutional issue. This is critical to India's minority rights in its democracy. The decision's impact on Indian education, minority rights, and governance will be significant. Having said that, let us acknowledge that the November 2024 verdict by the Supreme Court's seven-judge bench altered the legal understanding of minority institutions. The court's 4-3 decision reversed the 1967 ruling. It declared that the technical difference between establishment by and for a community or a minority group cannot be the only criterion for determining minority status. The ruling established several key legal principles. First, it emphasized that an institution's historical identity and purpose are integral to determining its legal standing. Second, it reinforced the protection of minority rights under Article 30, ensuring robust legal safeguards for minority educational institutions. Last, the court clarified that receiving government funding does not undermine or negate an institution's minority status. The 2024 verdict significantly altered AMU's autonomy over its reservation policy. The university, historically allowed to reserve up to 50% of its seats for Muslim students, had a distinct admission framework even before the 1967 ruling. This policy gave precedence to Muslim education while remaining inclusive. The new framework implements a 50% quota for Muslim students with category specific reservations while retaining SC, ST, OBC policies. It also gives special consideration to internal candidates and regional representation. The restoration of AMU's minority status boosts its governance by granting greater autonomy. The university can now tailor academic programs to better serve minority communities. It gains flexibility in faculty recruitment and the creation of specialized cultural and educational initiatives. Historically, this independence led to the establishment of unique departments like the Center for Advanced Islamic Studies, the Department of West Asian Studies, and the Institute of Islamic Studies. The verdict also strengthens AMU's academic focus. In Islamic studies, the university will expand departments, introduce courses on Islamic jurisprudence and theology, and link contemporary Islamic thought with modern disciplines. In language and literature, it plans to enhance Urdu programs, launch comparative literature studies, and preserve Indo Islamic cultural heritage. The Dean of the Faculty of Arts expressed confidence, saying the decision allows AMU to fortify its academic identity while achieving modern educational excellence. Following the verdict, AMU has unveiled several new research initiatives aimed at fostering global collaboration and academic innovation. These include partnerships with Al Azhar University in Egypt, joint research projects with Islamic universities in Malaysia and Indonesia, and exchange programs with institutions in the Middle East. The university plans to establish specialized research centers such as the Center for Minority Studies, the Advanced Research Center for Islamic Economics, and the Institute for Indo Islamic Medical Studies to further its academic and cultural contributions. The Supreme Court verdict on AMU's minority status has sparked diverse political reactions. The Congress Party welcomed the decision, emphasizing its alignment with the constitutional vision of protecting minority rights and fostering educational excellence. In contrast, the BJP faces a complex political balancing act. Historically critical of minority specific measures as appeasement, the party must now reconcile its stance with the court's interpretation of the constitution. This tension is evident in Uttar Pradesh, where the BJP government pursues initiatives like the Uniform Civil Code alongside outreach efforts targeting Pasmanda Muslims. In Uttar Pradesh, the verdict holds particular regional significance. With Muslims comprising around 19% of the state's population, the ruling could shape voter sentiment, especially in local body elections. It may also influence political alliances, particularly in western UP, as parties reassess strategies to appeal to minority voters. The verdict's long term political impact extends beyond AMU. By overturning the 1967 Aziz Basha judgment, the ruling the verdict redefines the interpretation of Article 30, clarifying that government funding does not negate an institution's minority status. This decision sets a crucial legal precedent affecting over 340 minority educational institutions in the country, including prominent ones like St. Stephen's College and Jamia Millia Islamia. Experts suggest it could influence other pending legal disputes, such as Jamia's minority status and the constitutional challenge to the National Commission for Minority Educational Institutions Act. The ruling has implications for education policy. Its emphasis on balancing institutional autonomy with government oversight may shape amendments to the UGC Act and implementing the national education policy. This landmark decision thus not only affects AMU but also sets a broader framework for minority education in India. The AMU verdict has strong implications for how India's education system is shaped, with NEP 2020 implementation being especially affected. Dr. Furqan Kamar, a former AMU Vice Chancellor and education policy expert, says the ruling requires a re evaluation of NEP's standardization goals to ensure they don't infringe on minority institutions' constitutional rights. UGC Chairperson M. Jagadish Kumar has stated that the UGC needs to revamp its funding guidelines to ensure a balance between institutional freedom and academic excellence. Implementing the NEP by 2030 faces new hurdles because of the conflicting needs of minority rights and educational reforms. AMU faces significant obstacles in its institutional reform efforts because of the need for comprehensive administrative frameworks. The National Assessment and Accreditation Council's recent assessments of Indian universities reveal that nearly 60% face challenges in aligning standardized admissions with diversity goals. Transparent recruitment policies are mandated by the 2023 UGC guidelines. Implementation of monitoring systems at AMU demands significant resources. Sufficient budgetary allocations are needed to ensure quality assurance. Balancing institutional autonomy with regulatory compliance becomes even more difficult for AMU because of its unique status as a minority institution under Article 30, subsection 1 of the Constitution. AMU's financial challenges have become more complex in today's evolving education landscape. Since the university is funded by the UGC, it must balance autonomy, regulatory compliance, and transparency. AMU is now focusing on industry collaborations, alumni donations, and consulting services. Managing large research grants from the Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, and global partners requires advanced systems. Self financing courses need to generate additional funds. The UGC has pledged to help AMU maintain minority status and academic excellence under the new guidelines. After the verdict, AMU plans to enhance the institution while preserving its identity. It has allocated funds to build advanced labs for artificial intelligence and renewable energy. Faculty development includes collaborations with top institutions like Oxford and MIT, along with partnerships with 42 universities across 22 countries. Its Bridge of Understanding series promotes intercommunity dialogue and cultural exchange. AMU has strong rankings in the National Institutional Ranking Framework. The AMU Research Out program, which supports marginalized students, will expand further. The 2024 Supreme Court verdict on AMU's minority status marks a landmark judgment in India's educational and constitutional history. It resolves a long standing dispute and establishes a framework for minority rights in education. The verdict's impact extends beyond AMU, influencing minority rights, educational policies, and social unity in India. AMU's future depends on balancing its minority identity with its role as a leading institution. Political and social responses to the verdict will shape discussions on minority rights and educational autonomy in the years ahead. The referral of specific issues to a smaller bench shows that some aspects remain unresolved. Recognizing AMU's minority status lays a strong foundation for its growth and sets key precedents for similar cases in India.